Welcome everyone to Tiger News and Updates, and we're here today with Pryor Superintendent Dr. Lisa Muller. We're going to spend a few moments with her talking about what our parents need to know this time of year.
Sure.
What do you feel is important for our parents to know?
So, one of the things that everyone is usually concerned about this time of year, and we're here in the first week of December, we've already had a little bit of ice here and there on the roads, but people are wondering about what do we do in case of bad weather and school closures. So we are always looking toward making sure that we can get our students safely to and from school. So that is the first priority that we consider when we're making decisions about whether to close school or not. And as we're looking at road conditions, we do that throughout the district. Of course, there are always spots that are more difficult for buses to run on than others. In town, the roads may be okay, but out in the more rural parts of the district, they're often snowier or icier than they are in town. So we do a pretty comprehensive look around the district as far as road conditions to make sure that we're able to safely transport our students to and from school.
So what does that involve if you're checking the road conditions?
Yes, so our transportation staff will often drive to key spots in the district. They know which spots around the bus routes are going to be most likely the challenging ones for the buses to traverse. So we'll often do very early morning, so like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning drives to see what road conditions are, and then talk through whether we think it's safe or not to run the buses.
Okay, so once a decision has been made, what's the notification process like for our parents?
So we notify using a variety of different resources. I think the source that parents are most dependent on is our own district messaging system called ThrillShare, and that is something that we use to send out voice calls, emails, and sometimes text messages. I vary that communication depending on the time of day it is and how urgent the message is. So usually for snow days, if I'm making the decision to have a weather day, whether that's an actual snow day or a virtual learning day, then I'll use ThrillShare to notify parents about that. We also always report our closures to the Tulsa area news channels. So all 4 Tulsa stations have a way of reporting that so that our closure is on the scroll and also on the website.
So I assume it's very important for families to keep their contact information up to date.
Yes, it is. So we do have a number of times when I'll get a report after a message has gone out and it tells me that it was undeliverable. And that's typically because a family has changed their cell phone number or changed email addresses and haven't updated that in the parent portal. So this is a great time knowing that as we go further into the winter, we'll likely have to make some of those calls. It's a great time for families to go into the parent portal and update their information so that we have the right contact for you.
Okay, and I guess if a family were in a situation where they couldn't get phone reception, they would still have that information available to them on the local news stations as well as the district website.
That's correct. So I didn't mention that we also, in addition to notifying our local news stations, we put this information out on both our website and our district social media channels. So we will have the information about school closures in a variety of different places for families.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the different types of closings that the school would, I don't know whether it would be late start, virtual days?
Yes. So depending on the conditions, we do make the call whether if it looks like we're going to be able to have school, if we just gave it a little bit more time for melting or roads to be traveled more, we might occasionally do a late start. I will say that's probably our least frequent option, but it is an option that we do have to have students come and report a little bit later than normal just to give that extra time for road conditions to improve. But What our more common scenario is deciding between either having a traditional snow day or having a virtual day. And virtual days do give us flexibility to have school and not need to make up that time in the future. So with a virtual day, I typically will do that if one of two scenarios. Either it's icy and very cold and not a good day for kids to be out enjoying the snow. That's a good time to use a virtual day rather than a snow day. Or if we have an extended period of time where perhaps we've had a traditional snow day, but then it extends into a lengthier time that we're not able to be in school in person, that's another time that we like to use virtual days. I will mention, because virtual days have been in the news lately, at this time, this will be the last year that we will be able to use virtual days when we are out for weather-related reasons. So the legislature passed a new law last year that doesn't go into effect until the 26-27 school year. So the law has been passed, but it's not yet in effect, and it prevents districts from using virtual days for weather-related purposes. So if that doesn't change, and I am hopeful that there'll be some legislative changes that come through this current session, but if it does not change, it means we'll have to go back to the more traditional way of having a snow day anytime that we're not able to be in school because of weather, and then we will have to make those days up at the end of the school year. So our school years will likely be longer in the future if that doesn't change.
Okay. Well, Dr. Muller, is there anything that families can do to prepare for that?
So I think it's something that if families are concerned about the lack of flexibility for local districts, if they prefer what we've done in the past, which is to use virtual days for our weather-related times that we're not able to be here in person, then I would encourage them to contact our local representatives to express that desire to have more flexibility for the local district.
What do you think is the most important thing for families to take away from our discussion today?
I hope that families will take away that we have a pretty complex system in place to both decide about when we have a weather day and also to communicate that, and that they'll be sure that their information is up to date in our system so that we get them the information they need as soon as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Muller. We enjoyed visiting with you today. So until next time, this has been Tiger News and Updates.
Thank you.